Hello, this is Katie Turner, or my professional singing name Katrina Murphy, and I am continuing on with my diary stroke blog of moving from England, Hertfordshire actually, Bishop Stortford, Hertfordshire, to San Clemente, Orange County, California. Sorry for my lapse in my videos. I had a question that was sent to me from a young lady who is also from North London originally, like myself. And I'm not sure if she is an actress or a singer or a dancer, but she was asking me how I managed to get my green card. I am a professional singer. If you look on my website, singersindisguise.com or singersindisguiseuk.com, and you look under artists, Katrina Murphy, it will have my resume amongst the other artists that I have working for us, for our company. And the reason I say that is because it's a lot easier for me to say to you, look at that, if you're interested as a singer, dancer, actress, in trying to get your green card to come out to America. When I first started my journey into trying to live in America, it was quite a few years ago. My company, Singers in Disguise, used to be called Soprano Bella, but it's Singers in Disguise in America, and now it's Singers in Disguise UK in England. It's been going for 12 years. Prior to that, I was a West End show singer, stroke opera, stroke operetta singer. I am what you would call a legitimate soprano, whereas I sing everything from, well, I played Christine in The Phantom of the Opera in the West End. I played Carrie in Carousel and Julie in Carousel in the West End for Cameron Mackintosh. I worked for the English National Opera when I was very young. When I was slightly older, I worked for Opera North in an operetta called Orpheus in the Underworld. So I'm what you would call a legitimate soprano, as in like a Julie Andrews, Sarah Brightman, hopefully a bit more classical than them, but can go dibble-dabble between musical theatre and opera. So I'm a crossover artist or legitimate soprano. And I've been doing this for a very long time. And I have a CV, because I've been doing it for a very long time. Like my first adult contract was at the age of 16. In fact, I got into this show at the Chichester Festival because I wanted to leave school early. I was so fed up with it that I thought, if I get into this show, they'll let me out, because I was at stage school, and they did. So that worked. So I sort of continued from there. But even before I was 16, I was working for the English National Opera, because I was at a fantastic theatre school called Arts Educational in London, and they would allow you to perform if it was good. And English National Opera obviously is fantastic. So from a very young age, I started to build up my CV and my resume, but I was fortunate enough to build up my resume and CV with very reputable and respected productions, English National Opera, Cameron Mackintosh, Royal National Theatre, BBC. I was lucky. So if you look at my resume, that will help in understanding how I was lucky enough to get my green card as an English performer to the United States. When I first started to apply for my green card, I went to see an English lawyer in the West End. I think it cost me £95 for an hour of her time. And where the English attitude is the glass is half empty, and the American attitude is the glass is half full, that was exactly her. She categorically told me, forget it, trying to get a green card as a professional singer actress in the West End. Everyone's trying to do it. There are hundreds trying to do it. Don't waste your time. Try and get an E something or the other visa and buy a business. Now, this was quite a few years ago, so I cannot remember how much you have to invest in a business in the United States to be able to get this E something or the other visa, because at the time I didn't have the money. And I think that even if I sold my house, which is what I would have had to have done, it would have still been a struggle. So I sort of gave up on that. But with Singers in Disguise, my husband had the idea of mirror imaging our British website with one in the United States, because we discovered that we loved America, we potentially wanted to live there, and we would try and get work out there. And we thought that our sort of entertainment, which if you have a look at it is a brilliant idea, would work really, really well in the United States, which is basically disguising West End artists in disguise at large corporate functions as waiters, waitresses, planted guests, chefs, all different sort of things. And we literally burst into song after playing our disguise acts for over an hour into a full-blown show, singing everything from opera, Nessun Dorma, Mamma Mia, Phantom of the Opera. And all my singers are fantastic singers, because I've either worked with them in the show, I perform with them. They're all brilliant singers. I'm a singer's singer, so all my singers are great. So we thought we would do the same thing in America, and we thought that New York is most similar to London, and it is. They're very, very similar. You've got West End, you've got Broadway, you've got Hyde Park, you've got Central Park. They are very similar. You've got Wall Street, you've got the city. So we thought we would target New York, and we started getting engagements in America, but they weren't just New York, they were everywhere. And I was managing to get to places in America that I would never have got to. And I think that one of our first engagements was in Virginia, then we did Kansas, obviously we had New Jersey, we had New York, we had Miami, we've had Orlando, we've had Las Vegas, where else? We've had numerous engagements in San Diego, and we have 3 coming up. We've had Los Angeles, I can't remember. But anyway, we have done about, oh gosh, I can't remember, but at least 17 engagements in the United States now. So not only did I have a CV that included playing 2 to 3 West End lead roles in recognised shows for producers such as Cameron Mackintosh, Really Useful Group, which is Andrew Lloyd Webber's company, Royal National Theatre. I'd worked for Opera North, I'd worked for the BBC. I had a good resume, but then loads of us do. You know, there's a lot of singers, there's lots of people like me who have great resumes. But I think what did it for me was the fact that from the age of, 32, I decided to really focus on soprano bella and Singers in Disguise. And I sort of went into a different role of becoming not only a performer, but I was writing the acts, I was then picking the artists. I was in a position to audition and choose artists to sing alongside with me. And I did that in England, and I was in the position to do it in America. So, and I can remember we were still flying English artists over to perform in America. And I remember the last time I did it was for a gig in New Jersey, and it was with a wonderful singer who I used to have called Zoe Curlett, who was another Christine in Phantom of the Opera like myself. And she came and she said, "Oh, I'll help you do the auditions," because I knew at that point I couldn't afford to make my clients pay for English artists to fly over to the likes of New York, and when there's loads of equivalent American Broadway singers like West End there. So she helped me do the auditions on this particular weekend, and it was easy to hire a studio like for like as you would do in Covent Garden, like it was on East 34th Street. It's very like for like New York, Manhattan, the city, to London. I see them they're very, very similar in my eyes. And she helped me do these auditions, and I found some great New York-based singers. But because we were doing the auditions, our gig was on the Friday, so we stayed on the Saturday to do these auditions in the city, in New York. And then we were going to fly home on Sunday evening rather, from, God, I can't remember if it was Newark or New York, the main airport there. I can't remember what it is. It was Hurricane Sandy. So I thought, oh, we'll book a flight for 8 o'clock in the evening, and we'll have a nice day shopping on Sunday together, and then we'll fly home. Well, it was cancelled. Our flight was cancelled because of Hurricane Sandy, and we had this amazing job trying to get a flight out of New York. And in the end, we just went to the airport at like 7 o'clock in the morning, even though our flight wasn't till 8 o'clock in the evening. And my husband, along with me and the internet, thank the Lord, managed to get us out to a flight to Chicago that went at the O'Hara airport. Oh yeah, we performed in Chicago as well. And Chicago, and then to London. Otherwise we were stuck in New York for about a week, which I wouldn't have minded, but not when there's a bloody hurricane going on. So yeah, that was fun. But I found my artist in New York. So I was now employing around 6 American artists. And then it sort of expanded, it sort of grew. So I would take my American artists, and I was using them, and I was expanding. And whenever I had an American engagement, prior to that, I was using my English artists, but it was too expensive for the client to fly them out there. So internal flights in America are really quite reasonable. And one thing in America that is very reasonable compared to England is travel. Is travel full stop, whether it be petrol, as in gas, flights, and trains. Trains are very reasonable and they're excellent. Amtrak. There's just not, the timetable is just not as good as you get in the UK. It's very limited, especially here in California. Anyway, internal flights are like the price of what we would pay for a train fare in England. And obviously gas compared to what we pay in England. We all know we're ripped off with petrol and diesel in England. Here, they think they're paying a lot more. And they are paying a lot more than what they used to, but compared to what we pay, it's dirt cheap. So I think aiding my application as a professional singer who'd worked in West End, opera, operetta, that sort of vibe, not a pop singer, not a commercial singer, a Julie Andrews singer, me, the fact that I was now in a position to employ American artists, I think if push came to shove and there was me between some other girl who'd played Christine in the West End, they would have picked me, because I was now in a position to give as well as take. If you're an English person and you're a performer trying to get a green card as a performer for the United States of America, I would say the easiest way of doing it and the quickest way of doing it is get together with an American performer you might have met on a cruise ship if you're performing, and marry each other. Don't quote me as saying that. That's the easiest way to get your green card. And then you can swap with each other. If you're a girl and marry an American performer, he can come and perform in the West End. You can go and perform in Broadway, diddle-daddle, diddle-daddle. The other way, like me, that I did, I was married to my husband, who I love very much, who was running my business with me. I had 2 children. I literally had a gig in New York. I met with my friend who is an English guy who moved to New York. He was a Raoul in Phantom of the Opera. We performed in many, many large concerts as leading artists together all over Europe, Malaysia, goodness knows where, for several years. And I met up with him just outside, just near Central Park actually. I'd done a performance there, and I said to him, I can't get my green card. I've been told by this English lawyer, forget it, I've got to get an blah 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 visa and buy a business. And he said, that's not true. I said, well, really? And he said, yeah. He said, because I can tell you that I got my visa, my green card, off the back of the concerts that we used to do together, because I applied as an international artist. We did travel. We travelled all over Scandinavia, Europe, many places, all over the UK as well. But as far as Kuala Lumpur in Malaysia, at a huge sports arena, we did a massive, hits of the West End stars extravaganza concert there, and me and Andrew did it together. So he said that's what he got his visa on the back of those concerts that we did together. And he said to me, you're in New York, and literally I did an engagement on the Saturday, I was there on the Sunday, met him for breakfast at this place near Central Park, and I was going back on Monday afternoon, and he said to me, go and see my lawyer Jan Brown, who's on the Avenue of the Americas, which is just off of Times Square. He's moved now, but if anyone wants his details, if you're really serious about this, contact me and I'll give you his details. He specialises, I think, in performers like myself. He also got a green card visa for another very well respected West End leading lady who's a friend of my friends. So he really knows what to do. And I remember when I went to see him on the Monday morning before, literally on my way to the airport to fly back to England, I told him what I'd done, and he said, listen, he said, I am confident that I can get you your green card. Pay here. So once you decide you're going to go for it, as a performer, don't think it's going to be cheap. You need to have, I'd say, at least £10,000 worth of savings put aside for it. I don't know how much it would be for a single individual, because with me, once I got my green card, it meant that my husband and my 2 children got the green card as well. And we have that for 10 years. I'm hoping that my sons will be able to have that forever, for as long as they might want to use it. They don't understand how lucky they are to have that and how hard it is. It was very expensive, but thanks to my father, who kept every single program of a show that I was in, every single write-up of a newspaper critique that I had got, he kept it all in a big scrapbook, because I would never have kept it. I had to show all this documentation, every program, every write-up in a newspaper, everything you have got. If you ever got a scholarship for anywhere, the letter saying congratulations, you got it, you need to keep everything. Because I tell you something now, in America, they love a bit of paperwork. Every bit of paperwork you've got, they love documentation, they love red tape, they love the paperwork. Have as much of it as you can. Photos of yourself playing a role in your costume, live taken from stage, everything like that. That's what they would want. But if anyone is seriously thinking about it as a young West End performer, do send me an email, do contact me. I will definitely recommend my lawyer in New York. He really knows what he's doing to help an artist get a green card. As far as anyone else is concerned, I'm not sure, but I'm sure he would be able to sort it out. But for someone like me, he got it. But it's not cheap, it's not quick. But if you're young, you don't have children, and you're serious about being a leading musical theatre artist, New York is your place. If you're serious about becoming a leading film, TV person, Los Angeles is your place. I'm struggling here for respectable theatre work and respectable theatre artists. It's a whole different ballgame here. I hope this has helped you today, And thank you for your comments and requests for me to continue doing my videos. Please email me or contact me if there's anything else you would like to ask. Signing off, Katrina Murphy, Katie Turner.